Man pulls out roasted crab meat. Say it hard, a mouthful of fried meat. A fresh but not greasy sense of satisfaction immediately welled up in my heart. Original. Man's plane crash. Trapped on a deserted island for 1,500 days. The entire survival process can be considered textbook level. Even BI is borrowed from the content of the film. Jack is the supervisor of an international courier company. He has a strong sense of time. In work, it's even more about racing against the clock to test the transportation of love. When he left the United States, sent a timer to Russia, but the 87-hour shipping time is a shameful record for him, because his concept only revolves around speed. Fortunately, he has a very considerate and understanding girlfriend, although there are fewer gatherings and more departures, but the two are still very affectionate. At a rare gathering of family and friends, he suddenly received an urgent notice from the company. We need to send a batch of express delivery to Malaysia. My girlfriend Ruth doesn't have any complaints, just hoping he can come back before Christmas Eve. And before leaving, I thoughtfully gave him a pocket watch. Inside, there are photos of oneself embedded. However, it was this pocket watch that became the eternal regret of the two of them. On an airplane at an altitude of 10,000 meters, Jack just came out of the restroom. Suddenly, there was a loud noise. Jack was instantly sucked up by powerful airflow. The entire plane is also experiencing severe turbulence. The captain trembled slightly and helped him back to his seat, and give him a life raft. Tell him that the plane has encountered bad weather, to make a forced landing at sea. In a state of panic, he saw his girlfriend drop his pocket watch on the ground, so he disregarded the danger, unfastening the seat belt, struggling to retrieve the watch. Jack luckily escaped from the cabin, and opened the life raft as soon as possible, successfully brought back to the surface under strong buoyancy, on the pitch-black sea surface, under the reflection of the raging fire. A mess, strong when mixed with rainstorm, sent chills up the spine. Just as he was looking for the captain, the rapidly running engine suddenly exploded again. He struggled to surface. After climbing onto the life raft, grasped the rope at the edge tightly, can only watch the plane sink to the bottom of the sea helplessly. In this vast sea, he drifts through the waves like a drifting bottle. I don't know how long it took. When he woke up, he found himself washed up to shore. He quickly took out the BB machine casing, already soaked in seawater. Fortunately, his girlfriend still gave him a pocket watch, although it stopped rotating after being soaked in seawater. But for him, it was already the greatest comfort. Then he instinctively went to pick up the package that rushed back to the shore, suddenly discovered that this was actually a deserted island. He started shouting at the top of his lungs. The only thing that can respond to him is the sound of waves. He quickly found some wood, spelled out a distress signal, because only the distress signal is clearly visible. He has a chance of being discovered. Next, he piled up all the parcels. He urgently needs to replenish his hydration at the moment. Subsequently, many fallen coconut shells were found in the forest. These wild coconuts are incredibly hard. He tried various methods, but couldn't open it. Even the stones are broken into several pieces. The coconut is still intact. Fortunately, fragment of stone looks sharp. Such a modern human being was pulled back to the Stone Age in an instant, after putting in countless hardships. Finally drank the sweet coconut shell. To be rescued, survival before, he must understand his own location, and the surrounding environment, so he decided to climb up the mountaintop to check. But when he climbed up, it made him momentarily dumbfounded. Surrounded by an endless sea, want to escape from here, it's just a silly dream. Just as he felt hopeless, suddenly discovered on the beach not far away, unexpectedly, there was a person floating around. He excitedly rushed over to check. After opening the body, make him collapse in an instant, it turned out to be the deceased captain. He can only endure the sadness and inner desolation. Drag the captain's body ashore. The reason for survival told him, collect all available supplies, so he nervously took off the captain's shoes, and also found a flashlight. Although the shoes are a bit small, but after modification, it still fits well. Subsequently, he buried the photos from the captain's wallet in his chest pocket, make him no longer lonely, and carved a tombstone for him, to show respect. Night. He sleeps in a makeshift tent built with a life raft, looking at my girlfriend's photo and getting lost in thought. He doesn't know if he can escape from here, but he clearly knows, I must not be a person myself. So after drinking the coconut, he conveniently uses coconut shells to collect dew for drinking, start learning fishing, making every effort to survive. A few days later, one night, he suddenly noticed a bright light on the distant sea surface. Without a doubt, that's a passing ship. But at night and too far away, he danced and shouted desperately, but everything was just in vain. After dawn, he decided to roll the rescue valve to search for the ship from last night, but the dilapidated life rafts appear so small and fragile in front of the rushing waves one by one. Not only is the life raft completely scrapped, his thigh was also stabbed by coral. He can only endure the sharp pain, dragging the life raft back to the island. However, the house leaks and it rains continuously at night. The sudden rainstorm left him nowhere to hide. After he covered the package with a life raft, while dragging and injuring one's own leg, limping to find a cave. Exhausted, he could only take a few sips of the muddy mountain spring. Afterwards I fainted and fell asleep. Wake up from a nap. The only flashlight is already dead. The collected dew has also been consumed. At this point he has run out of ammunition and food. I can only shift my gaze to these couriers. I hope to find some supplies and food. However, what they took out were tapes, volleyball, and a divorce agreement. Fortunately, I took out a pair of roller skates and a mesh long skirt. These two things are important to him. It would be very useful to obtain treasures. When he was about to unpack the last package, but hesitated, because the wing pattern on it showed him hope. or perhaps it could be seen as an undelivered mission for oneself. Subsequently, he uses roller skates as knives, transforming a mesh-lawn skirt into a fishing net. Even if a small fish is caught, it can be eaten raw. It's really hard to swallow. At this point, he only realized the need to light a fire, starting to learn how ancient people drill wood to make fire. But he switched from day to night and then to day. Despite the soreness in both arms, palm blistering, he has no intention of giving up either, but to change a way to continue making the fire. Unexpectedly, he exerted too much force. The palm was suddenly stabbed by the knife of the wooden stick. Fresh blood, direct current. A piercing pain made him instantly irritable. Crazy release of accumulated emotions. He worked hard to tidy up his mood. When I saw the bloody palm prints on the volleyball, a sudden flash of inspiration flashed. Add saliva with your own sweat. Draw a smiling face on the blood palm. Name him Wilson, and push himself like a friend. When he's too tired to give up, looking towards Wilson. Every day yesterday, his humor, optimism, and hard work. Finally, a wisp of smoke was exchanged. He quickly leaned down, gently blow against the flame. As the flames slowly rise, he finally succeeded, happy like a big boy. This is not just the result of hard work, it's also his hope for survival. Night, he lay leisurely by the campfire, tear off a piece of roasted crab meat, take a hard squeeze, a mouthful of fried meat. A fresh but not greasy sense of satisfaction immediately welled up in my heart. During this period he proudly shared his achievements with Wilson. The indicator is operated over there. After, he calculated the flight time and speed before the plane crash, roughly calculated the range of the plane crash. There's actually 500,000 square miles, and this area is twice the size of Texas. This means that rescue workers will never be able to find him. That's it. Jack is missing his girlfriend, and his only friend Wilson accompanied by him. I spent 4 whole years on this deserted island without anyone. At this moment, his whole body was covered in the vicissitudes of time, no longer sunny and handsome as before, but rather disheveled and disheveled. Bone structure. Even Wilson has aged a lot. Obviously, he has adapted to life on the island. There seems to be no more extravagance in his eyes, until one morning, he was awakened by a sound. However, it was this sound that made him perk up, reignite the idea of returning home. He carefully searched for the source of the sound, discovered that it was actually a piece of airplane wreckage. He erected the wreckage. Suddenly, it collapsed due to a gentle breeze, a flash of spiritual light. Eye concentration, watching the distant waves, a bold idea emerged. He wants to use this wreckage as a sail belt. He rode the wind and waves. Leave the island. In these 4 years, Jack has never lost a sense of time. After his careful recording, 3. The highest tide and wind in April are the best time to officially set sail towards the sea, but at the moment, he only has 1.5 months to prepare, so he acted quickly, manufacturing rafts, almost stripped all the bark off the island, braided rope, but the rope is still not enough. Wilson seems to have been urging him all along. Time is already pressing. Take his photos and photos. Original. A year ago, Jack once prepared a rope for himself to end at this cliff, and now this rope has become his hope. After returning, he felt Wilson mocking his cowardice. Speaking of using teeth, go run. But soon he regretted it. Hurry up and find Wilson, and apologize to him. A few days later, his raft has finally been completed. After testing the direction, take the pocket watch that his girlfriend gave him. With that undelivered mission, after leaving behind his 1,500-day experience with Wilson, embarked on a journey home. For 4 full years, he is constantly fantasizing about the scene at this moment. But for him, still facing a huge test, watching the sea breeze roll against the huge waves, he saw the right moment, open the sail. By leveraging the power of the sea breeze, he successfully crossed the first level. When he excitedly turned back and looked at the small island, my heart is filled with mixed emotions. There is a kind of reluctant sadness. After all, he was raised here for 4 whole years. In the sunset glow, the isolated island is gradually blurring, until disappearing into the days of drifting. He stores a large amount of rainwater, making a living by fishing, but there's no smooth sailing on the sea. The sudden storm blew away his sails. He curled up his body, held onto Wilson tightly, gradually fell into a coma in the wind and rain. When he wakes up again, but I found out that Wilson was missing. He quickly struggled to get up, a hoarse and exhausted shout. However, I need to. Fortunately, he hasn't drifted away yet. He plunged into the water without hesitation, swim desperately towards Wilson, but it's not that far yet. He just doesn't have enough physical strength. I can only helplessly watch Wilson drift further and further away. Lost my friend, who has been with me for 4 years, causing him immense sorrow. Well, and burst into tears. Feeling hopeless, he decided to throw away the oars, resigned to fate. Just as he was dying, a huge cargo ship slowly appeared. He went through many hardships, and was finally rescued. 1 month later, he is about to return to normal life, but his brow furrowed, heavy-hearted. He didn't know the first thing he said when he saw his girlfriend, what to say, but fate's trick. 4 years of separation, his daydreaming girlfriend has already married someone else's wife. When attending the company's return party for him, the seafood feast on the table was already tasteless to him. Instead, it was the lighter that plunged him into contemplation, returning to the once romantic and warm home. But it's incredibly cold and aloof. Compared to a soft and comfortable king bed, he seems more accustomed to hard floors. Looking at the rusty pocket watch and photos of my girlfriend, he suddenly understood. It turns out that everything has already changed. It's time to return the item to its original owner. So he found his girlfriend's current home. He hesitated for a long time, When I finally mustered the courage to prepare for the party, it turns out that after his girlfriend learned, he miraculously lived. I've been waiting for him. I haven't waited for Jack to speak yet. My girlfriend just hugged him. At this moment, they've been waiting too hard for each other. However, the reality is that my girlfriend has already married and had children. He returned the Christmas gift from 4 years ago to his girlfriend. That's not right. My girlfriend pretended to be calm and took him to the underground garage. He has always kept Jack's car. Now he also wants to return his belongings to their original owners. This car carries too many beautiful memories for both of them. Watching Jack slowly leave, my girlfriend can no longer control her emotions. Strive to catch up. This is still let you go. Minor issues. That lawyer give it to me, but calm and rational tell him what to do. You have this. That's it. Two people who love each other deeply, but being teased by fate, becoming an eternal regret. But no matter what, tomorrow's sun will still rise as usual. Life has to continue. Jack is also going to complete the mission that hasn't been delivered in 4 years. The express package that made him adhere to professional ethics and hope. But the owner is not at home. She can only leave the courier. After attaching a thank you note calmly leave, when he came to a crossroads, it's like 100 twists and turns in life. But suddenly it became clear, at the end of the film, there is also a woman. Friends who have seen the original film must know, the appearance of a woman is actually a colorful egg. Welcome class representatives to popularize in the comment section. This concludes the film, representative characters of Tom Hanks' classic movies. This deserted island for the rest of its life is a classic work of inspiring survival. Friends who have not seen it yet strongly recommend watching the original film.